This podcast is brought to you by RYYZN Make Life Work Out, a health and self-development platform dedicated to helping busy, everyday Kiwis manage their physical health and upskill their mental well-being.
Through sharing relatable and practical content from health practitioners, as well as showcasing interesting stories from interesting people.
For more shows, content, events, and coaching, head to our website, www.ryz-workout.com. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the High Frequency Club podcast. My name is Marwin Salerio.
And I'm Shanae Behrman. We're here talking all things self-development, growth, and mindset.
In this week's episode, we talk to the co-founder of Crossfit Mecca, new mum, as well as Lululemon ambassador Tegan. She takes us on a journey on how she found her CrossFit gym with her partner Dylan, as well as how working for free led her to her passions, and the importance of community in aiming for the best version of your health and fitness.
Tegan also talks about the challenges she faced during her pre- and postpartum journey with fitness, and how this led to her upskilling and educating herself in this area to help other women with a similar experience.
I also forgot to mention that Tegan is a lawyer. How she wears so many hats and succeeds in all of them, there's only one way to find out, and that's through listening to the episode.
Let us know your thoughts once you've had a listen, and be sure to follow along at the High Frequency Club on all your favourite audio platforms, as well as Instagram and YouTube.
Enjoy the show. Sweet. We're already recording. I'll see how that seamlessly goes into it.
Good.
So Tegan, for people that don't know you, for people who aren't aware of who you are, did you want to give us a little bit of context on who you are to help us understand the woman that sits with us today?
Yeah, I wear many hats. I guess first and foremost, I'm a new mum. I've got an 8-month-old, so she keeps me very busy. But I also own a gym. I own a CrossFit gym, and my, qualification is I'm a lawyer. So one of three, but I've lived in Auckland most of my life. I was actually born in Wairoa, down by Gisborne, Napier. So I lived there for 5 years, and then my parents moved us up here, and that's pretty much where I've been through school and carried on into everything else. Should probably actually also mention I have a husband. He's pretty important.
Bro Dylan, right?
Yeah, Dylan. Yeah. So yeah, he's my other half.
Awesome. Where's Wairoa? Gisborne. Is that like a small town?
Tiny. So it's like 5,000 people. Unfortunately, probably most known for its gang affiliations and crime. So a very small town.
Yeah.
Not a heck of a lot of opportunities down there. So yeah, happy to be living in Auckland. It's great though. We go back and visit there, and there's some important people in my life still down there. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is that why you guys left there?
Mum and Dad. Dad got a job up here, so that's why that prompted the move. But I'd like to hope maybe at some point we're going to leave anyway. Yeah.
I remember moving from Taupo to Auckland, and it was such a culture shock because Taupo had one set of traffic lights.
Yeah.
And then I come here, and I'm like, oh my god.
And no parking meters, eh?
No parking meters. Every parking there is for free. Yeah. And I remember it took 30 minutes just to see a friend. If you drove 30 minutes out of Taupo, you're in a different city, almost, a different town, you know? I was absolutely culture shocked on how big this place was.
Yeah, Wairoa's similar. It's got one strip of shops, and I think now it's got 2 supermarkets. Initially only had one, but it's a very small place.
What age were you when you left?
5.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
So up here and straight into school, which was also seamless. Just go straight into things up here. I love it down there. Like, it's real close to the water, and there's definitely aspects that you don't get in Auckland. But, yeah, more opportunity up here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what, after school and everything, triggered your, desire to go and study law?
I always knew I'd go straight into uni. I just think I'll just get all my education out of the way and then play afterwards, even if I didn't really know what I wanted to do, which I didn't. The whole way through high school, I thought I was going to be a physio. And then I thought, I was like, apparently it was quite hard to get a job as a physio once you're finished studying. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll go something that's a bit more sought after. And I was like, I'll give law a stab. And I did law and commerce at the same time. Got through the first year of law and got a spot, and so I was like, well, I'm not giving up the spot now, so here we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did my commerce degree and law degree at the same time.
Wow. Well, it's interesting that you thought it was harder to be a physio than it was to be a lawyer. Because I don't know. I assume it's much harder to be a lawyer. I don't know.
I
I guess different areas, but I would think laws. Because how long is law?
4 years.
Okay, yeah, same.
And then if you do a conjoint with anything else, it's an extra year. So I did my 5 years. And it was good, but in hindsight, like, law is not my passion.
Really?
No.
What got you doing it in the first place?
I thought it was something academic to do, and like I was pretty alright at school, so I was like, okay, I like to have a challenge.
Yeah.
So let's try law.
Did you have any other lawyers in your family?
No. My mum is a
Right.
teacher and my dad is a police officer. So, no.
Yeah.
I think in hindsight, maybe should have stuck with my gut and gone physio, but I'm not going back to university.
Did you feel like if you were feeling that whilst you were doing your law degree, that you would be like, oh, this is, or
No,
was it
I
until you
think
finished
it's so
it?
hard as a kid, like, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what you want to do in the big bad world. All you've ever known is school, and you've been prescribed to do all these subjects and pretty much been told to do, and then all of a sudden you're out and you're like, okay, you can choose now. And you're like, heck, what do I even like? I always liked sport, but I liked to not be a high achiever, but I did like to have a challenge. So I was like, okay, I'll try law because not everyone can do it. So see if I can do it. And then I got a spot, and I was like, well, I'm not giving it up now, so I'll go and do it. But it doesn't quite cross back to my passions as much as I thought.
Yeah. And what are you passionate about?
I love sport. I love fitness. I love people. So, yeah, I actually work in-house in a billing agency that bills for gyms. So that's as close as I am going to get, I think. I could be a sports lawyer, but I'm not going into firm, that kind of law. I work as more as like for a business as their in-house, doing a bit of everything. So we have gyms as clients. That's probably the closest I'll get to crossing the two over, I think.
Yeah. At what point were you like, man, this isn't my passion? And then where did you bridge that to then owning a gym? Take us through that journey.
I think once I had the CrossFit gym, actually before I had the CrossFit gym, I was already kind of partially managing the CrossFit side of another gym, and I was super passionate about it. Like, I did it for free. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I love doing this. And then I was like, oh, hold on. I love doing this. And then I go to work, but I'm working here for free. Like, and so then once we opened Mecca, and that became another job, that was never a job because it was a passion. So I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to do what you love. Which is all good. Like, I still do both, and I get the best of both worlds. Like, I like nice things, so I need a job that pays me. Pays me decent amount. So I get that part of my life from working as a lawyer, and then I obviously get my passion side from the gym.
Yeah, that's such a good example of finding your passion. If you're willing to do it for free, you know? Yeah,
that I think that was like the light bulb moment. I was like, why would I do this for free? And then I was like, because I love it anyway. Like, I was more than happy just to do it and serve people. That's not the best word, but yeah, I actually genuinely loved doing it and was happy to do it for free. So
yeah. So at what point was the crossover from, working in the admin of that CrossFit gym to now owning your own?
So along the way, they decided that they didn't want to have the CrossFit branch anymore. It was more of a boxing gym, and so they were just going to go into functional fitness. But with CrossFit, you have to pay an affiliation fee to use the name, etc. And they just thought, we can do functional fitness. The people aren't here for CrossFit. We can do the functional fitness side. And we decided that, hey, we still want to do competitive CrossFit. We probably need to go to a CrossFit gym, an affiliated CrossFit gym. So we did. We went out to East Tamaki. We were travelling from the shore to East Tamaki to train because we wanted to do competitive CrossFit. And then along the way, we went, hold on, there's other people that want to do the same thing. Like, there was about 20 people looking for a new CrossFit gym. we're like, should we see if there's a space, like a warehouse or something, closer to home? And we looked around, and there was, and it was, at the time, I was like, heck, this is big, this is like a big step. The space was probably like, I don't know, as big as this room, like it was small, could fit 12 people uncomfortably. But we decided to take the plunge and used our house deposit to open the gym instead, ordered a bunch of gear and took the lease on, and then, Mecca was born.
Wow, but you're in a different space now, right? Because I see in the stories, it's not a small space, and you got way more than 20 people in there.
So we quickly realised that it was good, like it was going to work. So about 6 to 8 months into our first lease, we thought, we should probably keep an eye out for something else, because either we're going to have to put on a heck load of classes, or let's try and move somewhere where we can fit more people. So there was a space just 500 metres round the corner, and we took on that lease at the same time, which was also scary, because we're like, shit, now we're holding 2 leases, and then we got someone else to eventually sublet our first place and handed it over.
Yeah, I've been in this home with the garage for almost a year now, and there have been times where I keep asking myself, like, fuck, I might need to get a bigger space, and also want to make home rather than home and business at the same place. But there are so much mountains to climb, so many things to think about before getting there. Yeah. What was your biggest challenge before you had opened your gym? Like, what was the biggest blocker for you, and how did you overcome it?
I had never even thought about opening my own gym. That was not even on my radar. I was a lawyer and I went to a CrossFit gym, like that was it. And then when I did a little bit of management for our first place, the gym that we were at, I was like, I love this is fun. And then once that shut down, and actually the lady at the time said to me, maybe this is an opportunity for you to go and do something yourself. And I was like, maybe it is. Like, cool. And then I thought about it, and I said to Dylan, I was like, shall we? And he's like, let's have a look. And next minute we were signing the dotted line on a lease 6 weeks later. And
That's a fast turnaround.
From not having even it been on our radar to literally like wheels in motion to open this new gym, I was like, crikey, that was a quick turnaround.
Sorry, I was going to ask. And then, so were you already like qualified to be a trainer, or did you have to organise like coaches and things like that? And
so neither of us were qualified to be a trainer. And part of the requirements to open a CrossFit gym is you have to hold your level 1 coaching certificate. So neither of us had that. So we're like, okay, that's a small hurdle. So we asked one of our members to be our official person on the paperwork, and we had actually 2 other coaches that came and helped straight away with us, and they both had their certificates. So Dylan has subsequently gone and got his certificate, and I still have not.
So you both, this was the first time that both of you had owned a business?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I think we were maybe 2 years into our relationship, and I was like, this is a big step. We're just going to pool our money and we're going to put it into this gym. And neither of us have run a business before. Luckily, like, we've seen how CrossFit gyms operate. We've now both done CrossFit for 10 years, and it's community is number one. Like, it's more of there's always a business side, but it's definitely one of your more relaxed kind of business, what do you call it, like how to operate a business. It's all about people and good people, and like attracts like. So
you never get that sales vibe at a CrossFit gym compared to like Les Mills that we love, but like you go to Les Mills, like they'll be hounding you, phone calls, emails, whereas I think you go to a CrossFit gym, they let you do a free trial and they're just like, cool, and I think they know that you'll feel that community vibe and you'll be like, I want to be a part of this, and you'll sign up without them having to say, nudge, you're gonna
Funny you should say that, because I said to Dylan, I was like, we're never going to be that gym that calls you and calls you again and calls you again to see if you want to sign up. Like, you either love it, we've done our job if you just want to sign up straight away.
They don't have to convince you.
Exactly.
And if they have to convince you, then you're probably not the right fit for the community.
Or it's not their thing. They might try and be like, this is not for me.
And they're probably not going to stay if we have to, convince them to sign up. They should be convinced after that first trial.
So how long has it been since you've opened Mecca?
We've had it for 4.5 years now.
So you started with just 12 people?
We started with 20 members.
And now you've got...
Just over 100.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, it's pretty... we hit our sweet spot just before COVID, and then we took almost 2 years slowly backstepping as those lockdowns went like this, which was super disappointing because it was such a big build up for 2 years to like get it to a nice spot where maybe one day it'd generate enough for an income for one of us, and then we kind of backpedaled, and we're just head above water trying to stay open. Unfortunately, we didn't have a very kind landlord, and she didn't give us any rent relief, so we were literally just trying to hold on. Full price.
Full price, the whole 2 years.
The whole time. And we are, we don't need to go there, but we tried and it was still a no, so we just tried to hold on. And we did, and now it's like trying to get the wheels in motion to get back to, the climb.
Talk to us about what was going through your mind, yours and Dylan's, when it came to, what was it, March 2020, lockdown looming upon us. Because I remember being a PT and everyone knew someone, right? Like, we're going to go into lockdown next week. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? And I'm like, fuck, how long will my savings hold up if we're out for how long? I remember being in the corner of Les Mills gym, being in the corner, sitting on a Swiss ball like I am now, and being like, holy shit, I'm going to have to move back to my parents' house. Like, this is over. You did a good stint, Marwan. Good run. What was your thought process?
Yeah, honestly, it was initially like hearing that we're going into lockdown, you're like, what the heck is a lockdown? Like, you're going to make us stay at home? I was honestly, at one point I was like, this is cool. Like, despite the fact I have a gym that I'm not sure what's happening there, but I'm going to stay at home for how long? Dunno. Okay, I don't have to go to work. Well, I kind of did because unfortunately, I can do my work from home, but I guess at that point I was like, thank God I have another job, not just the gym, because I work for a global company and they are huge, so they were robust enough to keep us all on, and they said that right from the outgo, and so I felt safe. Like, I was like, okay, I've got an income, one tick. We had actually just bought a house 2 weeks before we went into that first lockdown, so Dylan works for Fuller's Ferries, so they were going to continue to keep running. So we were like, cool, 2 incomes, tick, tick, we're good. We had a flatmate with us too, and she was sweet, so we were all like kind of in for the ride. We had never taken money from the gym at that point, so we didn't need the income. We just needed to make sure that the gym could stay afloat. And to be honest, most people were like, we said right from the get-go, we said, we want to be able to have Mecca when this is all over, whatever this is. We really need you guys to stay with us. Like, we laid it all out on the table and said, if you leave, I'm not sure what this place will look like whenever this is over. We still have to pay rent. We really want to pay our coaches still because this is their income. And they pretty much all stuck with us. We went all online. We put same timetable, just put it all online. And people got around it. Like, it was fun. It was a vibe. You jump on Zoom and there's like 26 faces looking back at you just like a class. Everyone took a dumbbell and a plate home, and yeah, we just got stuck in. Like, it was summer and it was fun and it was the first time, it was novel, and everyone got fit as because everyone like had light weights and was running heaps. Yeah, that first one was all good. Times 2, 3 and 4 or however many there was, not so fun. That was the slippery slope down for us, I think. People got over it. We were over it. And it's hard, like, being the front face, and we're over it, but we need to bring this energy and, not say to everyone, just seem enthusiastic so that they could get behind us and get stuck in as well. That was probably tough. Number 1 was fun. The subsequent ones, not so fun.
What are some non-negotiables that you have when you are going through some tough times, knowing that you are the leader as well?
Non-negotiables. For us, it's always about our team. So we've got a team of 6, and it's looking after them first and foremost. Like I said, we don't really take... The gym is a passion. We don't really take a paycheck from it. So we want to make sure that they're looked after, and in turn they look after the members. And it's a group effort. So there's 6 of us, and then, we can each either take turns or 6 bringing the energy rather than just 1 or 2 from the top down makes us spread quite thin. So looking after them, and then that has a kind of roll-on effect to help look after the others, which is super helpful for us and definitely releases a huge amount of pressure on us. So those are our guys. And then just in general, positivity. I always say it comes from the top, so Dills and I have to pick each other up and say, look, whatever we're bringing, that's going to be the flow-on effect. So, just setting the tone and the standard and knowing that that's going to be reciprocated, which is hard sometimes. Like, we're not always all happy and excited and willing, I guess you could say. But luckily there's 2 of us and we're partners and we can kind of bounce off each other and pick each other up.
Yeah. Have you ever had to be like, oh, fuck, I need some time off this? Small amounts, like days. I haven't had a massive, I need to step away from the gym for a month. It hasn't, but days at a time for sure. Dills, please, you go coach tonight. Like, I just need a rest, especially now that there's a baby in the mix. Yeah. Like, some nights I'm like, Dills, please, can you take tonight? I don't think I can bring what they need. And we always coach, well, not always, we do coach our busy classes. And I don't want to turn up there like, they're coming for the best hour of their day. That's what we try and provide. Like, that's our mantra. So true.
And I'm not rocking up there half-assed. That's not what they want to see. So we'll tag in and out when that happens.
Have you always been quite sporty? Cause I've seen your pictures. I've seen your Instagram. If you don't follow Tegan Mitai on Instagram, do it. She's a super mum.
I've always been into team sport right from school. But I played netball and touch. Those were my 2 sports. Oh, a bit of basketball, but I was pretty average. I was okay. Like, I played mostly in the top school teams, but I was no superstar, that was for sure. And then as soon as I came out of high school, Dad was having a boxing match, so he took me to the boxing gym, and we had a little stint at boxing, my sister and I. And then the gym brought in CrossFit. And I was like, I'll give that a try. Yeah. And then from there, we were off. All the team sports got dropped. Boxing was out the window, and I was a CrossFitter.
Yeah.
So, I was hooked after that.
What's the biggest thing that CrossFit has taught you?
Honestly, probably like mental resilience. It's all about how, it's an individual sport. No, it's actually not. I'm a team CrossFit. I'm into the team side of CrossFit, but it's just you against you. And it's you against your brain some days, and you're just battling yourself. So it definitely is about resilience and discipline, and that's on you. Like, you're only going to like disappoint yourself if no one else cares whether you turn up or not. To a certain extent, like, of course they do, but if you miss a day, then that's on you. If you miss a week, that's on you. And I did go through a phase during uni where I was like 1 week in, 3 weeks out when exams came on and stuff. And then once I finished my degrees, that's when I became more consistent, and definitely it paid off.
So. It is one of those sports, like, you only get out what you put in, like, in regards to a lot of the obviously complex movements, like, you're only going to get better at that by practicing that regularly. And like you said, if you're not showing up, then you can't expect to be, like, that your weights are going to go up or your chin-ups and muscle-ups are going to get better. Like,
100%.
You just got to be there putting in the work.
You can definitely, CrossFit has shown me what consistency can do, I think. I was a very skinny young girl, like, I've put on 10 kilos and some muscle, and that's just consistency in training. So, apply that to every other area of your life and you're away.
Yeah. I love how so much of training is translatable to every other aspect of your life. Being a high achiever, do you find that you are quite hard on yourself?
Definitely, and I think one of my downfalls is perfectionism. I want everything to be perfect. I want to be perfect. I want everything I create to be perfect, everything I run to be perfect, which is, it's hard sometimes, and it's hard for the people around me, especially Dills. He's like, man, you spend so much time doing these things, and I'm like, I know, because it can always be better. So that's definitely a work on for me, especially now that We've got a little baby girl and she needs a lot more time. You know, my time is better spent with her than it is, you know, fixing up that little 1% that nobody else is going to notice but me.
Yeah, this is always a recurring conversation with me and Sinead as well.
I'm sure you guys can relate to plenty of...
Yeah,
I'm very attention to detail on little things. And Mom's like, that'll do. And I'm like, no, it won't. Exactly. It's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Which can be definitely a downfall for me because, I have to pick up the pieces later on, you know. But then sometimes the way I see it is progress is better. Just progress.
Yeah.
But there's pros and cons to both things. So I'm genuinely curious. At what point are you like, fuck, I've just got to let it go? Like, what do you tell yourself? Or at what point do you say that to yourself?
I found it very hard before having a baby. I didn't really let it go. Like, I let it go when I went to bed, and then I woke up and I picked it up in the morning. And then once it was like this shiny thing that I was happy to present, I'd put it out there. But now I can literally see in front of my face something else that needs my attention. So it's like, okay, drop it now. It's her time.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest wake up call for me is your time is better spent elsewhere. Or if, you know, the opportunity cost here is you've got a little baby that she wants your attention, she needs your time. This is a material thing that is literally not going to look any different to somebody else. So leave it.
Like, how was your journey with pre and postpartum, having a bub in regards to fitness and that perfectionism and everything?
So hard, honestly. Like, it's probably one of the hardest things I've gone through, I think. Always, like, I hit my peak in CrossFit maybe a year before having OC, and I wanted to hold on to that, and I was pregnant, and I was like, how the heck do you train safely whilst carrying a baby? Like, I had no idea, and I went from like I can do anything to I should do nothing. Like, I couldn't find the balance. I just couldn't, which to be honest is a good thing because it pushed me into, I went and did a certificate in pregnancy and postpartum training. So I went and got educated, which, like, I loved it. That was awesome, and I did it during lockdown, so it was like perfect. It was perfect use of time. And then I managed to, you know, understand that there's this thing called athlete brain, and it stops you from like being rational and knowing what is safe and finding the balance between like you aren't fragile but you're not invincible either.
Interesting.
Yeah, which was hard, and the more that I've, you know, been around it and become educated in it, the easier it is for me to understand. But I can see other people going through exactly what I went through, and yeah, I guess that's the next step in my where I'm going, is that's the area that I want to move into and bring into the gym. It's so rare in the CrossFit space for people to, or just for anybody to be educated in that kind of training, and especially dealing with like high level athletes that then get pregnant, want to train safely but are trying so bad to hold on to the athlete that they were. And helping them find that balance and getting them through pregnancy safely, and then postpartum helping them to return to training safely as well. Yeah.
I've never heard of the athlete brain. I find that very interesting. Could you unpack that? What is that? What it sounds like a mindset thing. What is that?
All mindset. So it's definitely like, you know, we are trained to think that a good sweat session has to be hard, has to be intense, has to make you hurt. And then that's what you're seeking, but at the same time you're growing this baby and you're like, I know this is not good for me. I know I don't need to push to the point where I want to throw up. Like, that's not good for me. But how do I get a good training session still? So all you know is like the push and the hurt, and trying to make yourself go to a point where you don't want to go to, but then balancing that with growing a human and nurturing your body rather than pushing it to its wit's end. You can't reconcile the two if you have this athlete brain is basically stopping you from finding that healthy balance and accepting that a good training session doesn't have to look like this.
Yeah, because it sounds like the metrics of success before you get pregnant, is like, push to the limit. And I assume now that while you were pregnant with OC, your metrics of success had to change.
100%, and I didn't know anything other than the fastest or the heaviest and the furthest distance. And now, and then it evolves into this new, this whole new world. It doesn't have to look like that.
Because that doesn't just relate to pregnancy, right? Because when people are injured sometimes, or when they're going through some like hardcore life stresses, like your metrics of success should change with the flow and the chapter of what your life is in. What was your metric of success once you realized that, like, shit, I got athlete brain? What did you change your success?
To me, being able to train was definitely a huge tick. I was really lucky. I had a mild pregnancy. Like, I was good. My energy levels was fine. I had minimal nausea and sickness. A little bit of like groin and girdle pain towards the end, which stopped me from walking and doing a bunch of things, but there was plenty I could still do, so I was quite lucky in that respect. So movement, that was a huge tick, just being able to move. And then I guess pregnancy is a constant. We talk about progressive overload, when we're training with our clients, and this is a progressive deload. So being smart enough to make those changes, and it's not common sense, it definitely isn't. Training pregnant, it's not common knowledge. What you're supposed to do is not common sense. You need to either seek someone that can help you or do some form of education yourself, because it's really hard to know what to do. And even if you do know what to do, you second guess yourself. You're like, is this right?
Because I'm sure there's probably times where you, like you said, your energy might still feel good, and you probably still think, I can still probably squat this or clean this. But knowing where you're at, you're probably like, but I probably shouldn't be pushing this much, even though I feel more than capable to do this today. It's
the could versus should. Like, should I be doing this? And if you even have to ask yourself, should I be doing this? The answer is probably no.
Fuck, what a confusing time.
I know, exactly, right? And you never go through a period in your life when you're constantly on a deload. You're stepping backwards literally to this point where, the apex is obviously when you give birth, and then from there, you're taking the stepping stones back.
So you must see this all the time.
I definitely do.
With other women.
And I had seen it before, and being a trainer, I was always like, probably just do what you're used to doing, but just take it easy. And that's not helpful to anybody. Like, they don't know what to do, and they're coming to you, and you're like, maybe just go at a pace where you can still hold a conversation, which is like fine advice, but it doesn't actually...
There's still loopholes in that for people 100%. To be like, I can still push this weight today then.
Exactly. I can still do a handstand push-up upside down with this big belly where I might fall on my baby.
I was going to ask, like, what does that conversation sound like when you're seeing a pregnant mama doing it, and you're like, I've got to step in here.
The easiest way for me to digest it myself, and I think it's the best received, is risk versus reward. Like, you can, but what is the reward here? Like, why are you holding on to doing a handstand push-up, and what's the risk? Risk is, you could fall, you could injure yourself. Reward, you can do handstand push-ups for one more week. Like, let them go.
Yeah,
that's a great piece of advice. It's so true when you logically break it down that way.
Because it's like, you're not going to be competing anytime soon because you're having a baby, so you will be able to get your handstand push-up back one day.
If the reward is ego, then cut it out. It's all a big ego game, and it's so hard to drop the ego. But if you ask yourself the question, risk versus reward, most of the time you'll know the answer pretty easily.
Did you have someone who was playing your role now while you were pregnant to be like, Tegan?
Someone very far removed, like, didn't see me day to day, yes. And to be honest, luckily for me, it was kind of a blessing that we were in lockdown for 4 of the 9 months that I was pregnant, because I literally had a dumbbell, so I wasn't going to be able to push those boundaries too far. If I was in the gym, it might have been a different story, but it was pretty easy for me to take that progressive deload. But at the same time, I was doing this pregnancy and postpartum course, so I was pretty like, oh, I know what I should be doing. And I'm happy to, I was like, this is the only time in my life where I'm going to be able to take this huge deload from training and then come back stronger, which still getting there, but hopefully.
My next question was, where are you at now?
We're obviously slept great for the first 6 months, so I was having more sleep than I had ever had in my life. I was like clocking 9 hours a night.
With a 6-month-old?
She just slept.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, I know.
Far out.
You would have had to
got
keep
the
it that
best
to
days
yourself
ever.
at mother's group.
It's not the same anymore. I've had my time, but yeah. And so I was like feeling so good at training. First 4 months, nothing moved. I was like hitting brick walls. I was like, when the fuck is this going to change? Like, I was very frustrated. Don't get me wrong. There was times when nothing was changing. I went to the pregnancy and postpartum physio, and she's like, yeah, you're still not ready for high intensity exercise. She went, no skipping, no running, no jumping, nothing like that. And that was like at the 3-month mark, at the 4-month mark. And I was like, oh, mate, I'll just throw in the towel. Like, I'm never going to get there. And then at 4 months, everything just changed. And then I started seeing the progression again, which came at a very good time.
What's happening there in the body in that 4 month time? Is that when the hormones are coming back? I genuinely do not know.
Yeah, definitely. There's a huge hormone shift at 4 months. Typically, the big wound that your placenta leaves is healed. So, yeah, depending what kind of birth you had, like everybody is different, don't get me wrong, but things are starting to heal. Hormones have shifted again. And you're starting to feel more like yourself, definitely.
So what types of training were you doing before in that 4 month little phase?
I was trying to do CrossFit, and when I say trying, I couldn't really squat. Bulgarian split squats were hurting me. Everything was hurting me. I couldn't do any abs. So I was doing basically accessory movements, all accessory stuff, which was probably the perfect building blocks for what I needed at the time. All low intensity. A rower and a bike was as much cardio as I got in. No running, no jumping, no skipping, and just heaps of rehab, breathing, and not stuff that I'd ever done before, ever been interested in. But yeah, definitely changed what I was used to doing.
Trying to keep that slow pace, like you said, that slow rebuild, because I guess once you're like, cool, I've had my baby and I'm well slept, I'm feeling good, let's get back into it, let's grind, let's start building. Yeah. But it's still, like you said, sort of one step at a time, even with the rebuild. And
if you try and skip a step, your body will definitely tell you.
Yeah, it sounds like that's a specialty in itself. So if a mother right now is listening, they should definitely go seek someone who knows, right?
100%. And I can't, for any mum returning to exercise, find a pelvic floor physio, find a women's physio. They're not cheap. I won't even sugarcoat it. I think my first session was maybe $150, and I was like, shit. Whoa. But your body is forever, and that is a huge injury. Essentially, the same thing as a huge injury going through birth. The trauma to your body is not even something you can comprehend, I don't think. So go find someone that can help you and set you up to get you back to, or set you back on your way, to healing your body. And
because like you said, it's like any other injury. If you injured your shoulder really badly and you couldn't lift your arm, but you're like, oh, she'll be right, it'll get better. Yeah. It might, but it might not ever get fully 100%. And that's kind of the same with all of that.
Exactly.
In that if you kind of are like, oh yeah, it just needs time to heal and she'll be right. Because I've had a woman once that came to see me with her rectus diastasis, so she had a huge gap, and she was like, oh, how can I, fix this gap? And I was like, how old's your kid? And she's like, oh, he's 4 now. And I was like, 4 years old? Honey, that's pretty much set now. Yeah. They're things that you need to work on in those early few months of specific exercises to be getting everything.
It's definitely the best time to work on it. Eventually, if you don't, you're going to sometime down the track anyway, and it's probably going to take longer, be harder, and maybe even be more expensive. So just rip the Band-Aid off. I know there's a million expenses when a baby comes through, but I'd say definitely prioritise that one.
Yeah.
And actually now ACC's come through, so there might be some funding there, depending on what kind of birth you have, and explore it, take full advantage of it, but go see a women's health physio.
Yeah, even just from Kevin's episode, I didn't know that there was fuck all support.
Yeah, which is horrendous, but I mean, we're taking the first steps to maybe getting some cover, so yeah.
I remember being in our Lululemon ambassador training, because me and Tegan sat by each other at dinner. We obviously did not know each other, and there was a conversation going on about being process driven and being outcome driven, and somewhat mumbled, you're like, oh yeah, if you were outcome driven, you miss all the opportunities. And I remember eating, I was like, yeah, fuck, you're right. That's a fucking, I don't fuck with this chick, you know? Let's fucking get a conversation with Tegan. Was there ever a time where you were outcome driven and you missed opportunities for you to then become process driven? Or do you go like to and from, depending on the context?
I definitely think a bit of both, but in hindsight, I think there's two main things that if I was outcome driven, I probably would have missed two massive opportunities. One is when we switched gyms to go be competitive, we were actually training for the games at the time. So we were in a team heading to the CrossFit Games, you know, like this was the ride of our lives. We were super excited and everything was about that. And then we decided to open Mecca at the same time, you know, like that was, had we not had our eyes, you know, like still looking at the bigger picture, we would have never opened Mecca because we were training for the games, like we were gunning. But there was a side opportunity for us to open our own gym and like eventually, you know, have our own space and create our own community. So thank goodness at the time I was, you know, I had a big enough vision to not just be absolute tunnel vision on that games opportunity, but we managed to step back and say, I know we're biting off a lot here, but let's open the gym at the same time. So that was one. The second one is I was so focused on my own training and making sure that I was safe, training safely, pregnancy and postpartum, that hold on, like there's a big opportunity here. Go and get qualified. Like afterwards, do this for other people. So that's hopefully that's the next step for me. Is I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but helping other people through the journey that I've just been through as well. Yeah.
You wear so many hats, Tegan. How do you find time for yourself? Like, what are some non-negotiables that you may have in your routine that helps fill your cup up?
I'm pretty bad at it, I'm not going to lie. I don't.
We all are.
I don't really. You almost get to that boiling point and you're like, you better go do something for yourself or somebody's going to wear it. So, yeah, at that point, poor Dylan. It's always Dylan. At that point, he's like, or even he might be like, do you want to go get your nails done today or something? And I'm like, he's trying to tell me something. All right, let's go. Yeah, so I think, I am pretty bad at it, but lockdown, I loved walking, and since I've enjoyed running. So, and that for me is time out. Like it's not about the time, the goal, the distance. It's just a chance to debrief with myself in my own head, listen to something, and kind of zone out for a little bit, or something a little bit like more temporary, you know, massage nails, whatever it might be. Yeah.
When did you start running?
Literally, when I went for that first run. That morning run on the Lulu.
Bro, I was, so I'll let you tell, but they woke up at like 5 a.m. And I remember you saying you'd never gone for a run before. And I was like, this chick is game. We're at Park Hyatt. I'm not waking up earlier than I need to. I'm at Park Hyatt, you know, but you went.
Yeah, I was like, I could hear them talking about a run and I was like, you're not a runner. And I was like, it's an opportunity for connection, and I was like, but you're not a runner. And I was like, shit, do these guys run fast? Or like I was having this little internal battle with myself in my head. Literally hadn't run since lockdown, so what was that, 2 years ago? And then I only ran because my flatmate would come down at lunchtime and be like, all right, we're going for a run. And I'd be like, damn it, I wish you weren't coming down. But yep, so lockdown and then Lululemon. 2 years apart. That was literally the only time I've been for a 5K run. Like we run in CrossFit, but we run 400 meters or something very mild in terms of distance. So that definitely started my run journey, I guess you could say. And I'm pretty sporadic. Like once a month, I will go for like a 5K-ish. But we've started a cardio club at our gym.
I saw that. You guys are going to do a marathon.
So weekly, we're doing some form of running. I have a little impromptu run club, and we're building up to more than a run in end of November.
That's awesome.
We won't be running the 60K by ourselves, but we're going to do 30K in teams.
Oh, yeah.
So anybody can choose how many people they want in their team. If they want to run solo, they can run 30K by themselves. If they want to run half the distance, obviously they have 2 people. If they want to run 5K, they just have 6 people in their team. So
I see. So You guys are all going to run like 30K, or you can just jump out whenever?
Yeah, so
Kind
the
of-
idea is
relay?
that we'll all start together from the gym, and it'll be relay style.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Shit, 30Ks, man. I'm just still getting used to 5.
Exactly. So yeah.
Talk to us about, because you've been going to Grave Runners, how important community is around starting up something new for yourself, whether it's maybe CrossFit or it's some type of movement activity.
I think community is invaluable. Like, community is where the momentum is, it's where the vibes are, it's where, like, at Mecca, people think they come for the fitness, but they stay and play for the people. Like, it's not about the fitness in the end. They come for the community. So, community is literally everything, as cliche as that sounds. Like, you go for the people, and nothing replaces or even compares to what you get from human connection, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked a couple of times and you've mentioned ego and the internal battle. I think what I observe with a lot of people is that they've got that internal narrative and they unconsciously identify with it, therefore they listen to it. But for you, what you've said today is that you've been able to clock it. And even though it's talking to you, you're like, oh, nah, I'm going to do it anyway. So you've obviously got a high level of disassociation with your ego or your narrative. Was there a point in your life where you're like, holy shit, there's this voice in my head that isn't me? And you're like, fuck it, I'm going to, now that I've got space between the voice and who I am, I can now start, not being controlled by it.
I'm glad I portray things that way, because I'm not sure. I think in some things in my life I can do that, but everyone talks about imposter syndrome, and 100% I suffer from that. I'm always like, why are they listening to me? Like, I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. She knows more than me. Like, I 100% battle with that. But in other areas of my life, like, I like to think that I'm pretty rational and I can step back and look at things objectively rather than subjectively. And I think maybe that's a strategy of mine. I'm always stepping back and thinking, what would I like? How would I like somebody else to deal with this, or what would I tell somebody else to do? And that usually gives me the rational answer to what it should look like or what should be done in that scenario.
Yeah, I think that is the skill in itself. It's that objective view and being able to take yourself out of the situation, look at it from a third person point of view.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think it's super valuable information.
I laugh because, Dills is quite reactive sometimes, and he's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, babe, look at that objectively. Like, how would you feel if someone said that? And he's like,
He's the emotional one?
yeah, he's the reactive one.
Yeah.
I'm always like slow and, yeah.
You complement each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so
He
good.
brings the passion and the fire.
Yeah.
That sounds like me.
Which is, I think that comes with, like you said, with time, but also being able to take that pause with certain situations, being able to sort of pause first, try and process it, to look at it objectively. Whereas, like you said, if you are just reacting, you are just subjective and, not fully thinking it through often.
Tegan, what is something that you know you need to let go of, but you struggle to?
I definitely think coming back to that perfectionism, like that is, there's, to a point, there's only time worth spending on something, and then after that, it's just, not wasted time, but again, the opportunity cost. It's like, what else am I giving up to just find this little extra 1%? And that opportunity cost, obviously, with having a baby, is now pretty high. So that's my key work on. And second one would be finding the balance in life. Like, I'm always thinking, how can I make the gym better? How can I do this better? What can I run next? Like, what can I give? I've got a poor family at home that's like, where's our mum? Where's our wife? And not always, like the gym is its designated spot, but I always work from home, so I'm always working in our home. They're like, can you just have fun with us? Yes.
I'm sure a lot of your members will be listening right now. Is there anything in the pipelines that you maybe could say that they could be looking forward to that'll help the community?
There's always things in the pipeline. I think having gone to being onboarded with Lululemon, like it's broadened my scope hugely. And I definitely have some inspo for some things that we can bring next year, which hopefully will involve wider community. And I would love to get more of their family and friends in with us. They obviously, our members, most of them are long-standing members, and they love it for a reason. So I want them to be able to share that with more of their family and friends and bring them along and see how much of a positive impact it can have on their lives too.
Yeah, you've actually got an event coming up.
We do. Well, we have a couple of events.
Okay, cool. Talk to us about that.
We have, Regan, the Takapuna ambassador, and I are running a Move, Breathe and Freeze at CrossFit Mecca. So it's not limited to members, but the idea is that everyone will come along for a little bit of movement, and then we'll do some breathwork stuff, and then we'll jump in some ice baths. To feel the benefits of all three of those and maybe get exposed to something that we wouldn't usually, along with plenty of goodies and refreshments and connection afterwards. It's always about the connection. So ideally everyone will meet someone new, and it'll bring a whole bunch of faces together that maybe wouldn't see each other on the regular.
And there's a good cause, right? The donations go to
Movember, straight to Movember, and then obviously we'll be following that up at the end of the month with our More Than a Run event, which again is open to everybody. So keep an eye on our socials if anybody is interested in any of those.
Yes, I've got two more questions before we wrap up. One is your socials. Where can people find you and CrossFit Mecca?
CrossFit Mecca, as it is, so you can find on Instagram and Facebook. And you can find me at Tegan Mitai on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Amazing. Tegan, our closing question is, if you could speak to Tegan right here, right in front of you from 5 years ago, and she was here sitting with open ears wanting your advice, what would you tell her?
Start connecting now. Meet people, go. I would say that I'm more introverted than extroverted, and I am quite shy. I won't usually go up to someone and initiate conversation, but man, go. Connection is where it's all about. Go meet people. Opportunities come from people, so go meet as many people as you can. Take every opportunity, and rest up because you've got a lot of things coming.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tegan, for jumping on our podcast and giving people the gift of your extrovertedness and getting outside of your comfort zone. I'm sure that there are a lot of your members that are listening right now that are like, oh, yeah, I did not necessarily know that of Tegan, or people looking for a gym in the shore that are like, fuck, that sounds like a bit of me. So
we'd love to have anybody, all walks of life, any age and stage.
Tegan Mitai, everyone.
Thank you, guys.